morning, everybody. Welcome to one of our Welcome Week events today. My name is Mariceli Santiago. I am the Director of Student Life and Activities, and today we're going to talk about financial literacy and some of the things that you need to be aware of as a CTC student to be able to improve your financial situation and maintain a healthy financial situation. And today we are joined by our financial aid team. Led by Pearl Creviston and our presenter, Tina Sanchez Urieta. And they're going to be talking to us a little bit about what you all need to know as a student and making sure that you have a healthy financial experience at CTC so that once you start your education, you're going to be completely successful. Take it away, Tina.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. We are going to go over the fundamentals of the FAFSA, the free application for the federal student aid. And I want to go over my slides as far as what it's, what are the sources available. We do have the federal Pell Grant. There is a student work program. We have student loans. There's scholarships available. And to go ahead and to start the process, it is very important to log into studentaid.gov. That there you will find information regarding student loans, bank account information, how to create a budget, tips for saving, regarding credit cards. All that information is provided through studentaid.gov. As far as the FAFSA, the first step would be applying for the financial aid assistance. The application is part of the Title IV funds, the Pell Grant, the direct loans. It is very important to submit it every academic year, submit it on or after October 1st of every year. Now, some of the requirements for the FAFSA that there will be, there's the need for the income from 2 years prior. And if the student is under 24 years, parents' information is required for students through 24 years of age. It is very important to be aware of all the costs, review the college cost of attendance, consider if there's any direct or indirect cost. Also, whether it's, state tuition versus out-of-state tuitions. It's very important to keep everything in mind when it comes to the FAFSA. And then consider if there's any required charges, any fees. For the budgeting, if there's going to be, for budgeting, consider if there's residents on campus, or if it's going to be the tuition based on non-residents off campus, the budget. There's the fees for tuition fees, books, supplies, room, board, transportation, any personal miscellaneous expenses. So consider that as well. There is an interesting link that Pearl provided, which I've been using.
I want
It's
to talk about this one, Tina. This is my turn.
okay.
So
Yes.
this is one of my favorite apps that students can use. It's called Texasrealitycheck Com. So you are at CTC, you really don't know what you want to do right now, but you think maybe you want to live in Houston when you get done with school, and you want to make a lot of money, and you don't even know what it costs to live in Houston because mom and dad aren't going to be paying all those bills anymore like you're used to. So what you do is you figure out, how much is it going to cost me to live the life I want to live? And what this calculator does is allows you to put any major city into this in the state of Texas. It'll tell you how much it's going to cost you to buy food, clothing, what your house payment or rent might be. Every expense that you can think of will be calculated for you. And when you get done, you hit a total button and it tells you to live in Houston with the style you want to be living with all those new clothes and looking good and all that new car and all the stuff you want, is going to cost you about 72,000 a year maybe. Oh, well, I'm only making $12 an hour. Is that going to pay $72,000 a year for your living expenses? Probably not. So what this does is it really gives you a true life picture of exactly what it's going to cost to live the lifestyle you want. Are we saying you can't do that if it's too high? No, what we're saying is you need to figure out what your education goals are and how are you going to make that kind of money. If you're going to work at Burger King in Houston, you're not going to have a new car and live in a fine upscale apartment and have new clothes all the time, are you? Probably not. But this one really gives you a true life picture of what it looks like. And you can pick the area you want to live in, you can figure out what you want to do, and then you'll figure out how much it's going to cost you to live there. So that helps guide you in your educational pursuit as to what exactly it is you want to do and how are you going to get there from here. And that's what Tina and I are here, and financial literacy is all about. You want to be able to figure out what your goals are in life, where you're going to live, and how much is it going to cost you to live the kind of life you want. So if you want to follow your dreams, you start with the education that'll get you to where you want to be. I'm done, Tina. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was great. Yes, Texasrealitycheck.com. The next slide, creating a budget. It's really important that we emphasize the importance of FASBA and the importance of scholarships, work study, everything that's being offered, and students. There's everything is out there. Do your research. Do your homework, and get as much information as you can. Creating a budget. I wanted to ask the question, have you ever wondered where all your money goes? It's very important that, you track your expenses, check them regularly. Um, Budget does change over time, so it's very important to you know, keep in mind that it's very important to have a budget. There is a link at studentaid.gov where it's resources, budget, and there's videos available. Check them out and get more information. Also regarding credit cards, have how many credit cards do you have? Have you, paid attention to the interest rate for each credit card? Um, all this is very important when it comes to finance, when it comes to managing your money. Credit cards, yes, they can become handy, but also they can get you in financial trouble. And you want to make sure, you use the credit cards wisely. To check out more information, mymoney.gov will provide more information regarding credit cards. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about you know, the federal aid, the state and the state and institutional aid, the grants, the work study. I'm going to try to go, more in detail of each one of them. Okay. For the Pell Grant, the Pell Grant does not need to be paid. I want to just really emphasize that where versus the loan, you do have the interest, you do have to pay that back. The Pell Grant, that does not have to be paid back, and it's in order to be eligible, it's based on the expected family contribution, the cost of attendance. It depends on the enrollment level in college, and also the another great opportunity out there. It's the Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity, the FSEOG, along with the Pell Grant. They're out there and they're available for students. In regards to the loan, another topic that it's very important to cover. As I said, the loans, they do need to be repaid with interest in order to be eligible for a loan. Some of the eligibility, it's determined also based on the expected family contribution, the cost of attendance, and I really want to tell the students, just borrow only what you need, and consider that the interest rate will be assessed to the original loan amount, so keep that in mind. The
Tina,
loans.
Tina,
Yes.
ooh, Tina, got a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Did you know that President Biden just forgave loans? Have you?
Yes, the forgiveness.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness. And we have gotten so many phone calls that say, I don't have to pay my loans back anymore. Can I get another loan now while he's forgiven those? No, 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 no. So, what you all as borrowers really need to know is for the student loans, you want to talk to your lender. So, if you have a direct loan, that would be the Department of Education. Don't call the school and ask us which loans are going to be forgiven and which loans are not going to be forgiven,
Mhm.
because it is all going to be based on your loans, what days you received those loans, when they started, what type of payments you've made, and the only ones that are going to know that are your lenders. So don't get too excited and don't think now it's just a free for all and everybody can get loans and not have to pay them back. It does not work that way, I promise you. I'm done.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Pearl. With all the changes and, everything that's going on, we just have to keep, informed of everything. And I believe, my advice would be for students and even graduates and professionals, just make wise decisions when it comes to loans and do the research, get all the information, that is needed before making a decision regarding a loan. I'm gonna also go over some of the loan steps for students in order to find out more about the loans and what needs to be done. It's if you log into Eagle Self Service, there should be notifications for the master promissory note, for the entrance counseling that needs to be completed. Once you go into Eagle Self Service, there's going to be a link where students can fill out the master promissory note, submit it. The also the annual student acknowledgement that needs to be submitted, the entrance counseling. After completing all the loan steps and the student has registered for 6 credit hours, the loan will be active, and it's a process that needs to take place. Also, I'm going to go over some of the loan limits. I think it's very important that students understand that there's a loan limits for students that are first year undergraduates. There's a loan limit for 3,500 their first year, and when they become sophomores, their second year, their loan limit is 4,500. um, it's going to depend based on whether the dependent, independent. For dependent students, there's a max amount um, of financial aid assistance for the first year of 5,500, and for the second year, 6,500. For the independent students, there could be a possibility approximately a max amount of 9,500 for the first year, and for the second year, 10,500. Did you wanted to add anything else, Pearl, to this?
Probably the only thing, one of the questions we get all the time is from first time loan borrowers. And you have to understand, Department of Education has one rule. The very first time you are a student loan borrower, you have to wait 30 days until after classes start in order to receive that first loan disbursement. Understanding that and having Pell Grant at the same time, it's usually not even noticed by most students that their loans haven't released because their Pell Grant was released to pay for everything already. However, if you do not have any other aid other than a student loan at CTC, your loan will hold you in classes for that 30-day period. You would not be dropped as long as your loan is enough to cover your full cost of classes, but you may have to purchase your books out of pocket that first semester. Just know once your loan does release, you will, of course, get that loan at that time because loans also release 30 days after classes to your bank account. So sign up for direct deposit and then you'll get your refund from what you've spent out of pocket for books by getting your loan back. But that is one thing a lot of students seem to not understand when they read that offer letter, that there is a 30-day delay for first time loan borrowers.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Regarding, since I'm talking about loans, I'm gonna touch a little bit based on the loan fees. For the direct subsidized loans and the direct unsubsidized loans, the loan fee at the moment it's 1.057%, and the loan fee for the direct plus loans it's 4.288, 4.228%. The loan, as far as the loans, I'm going to try to explain a little bit about the difference between the subsidized loan and the unsubsidized loan. First, the direct subsidized loan, it's a loan that is eligible to undergraduate students who demonstrate financial need. It helps to cover for cost of higher education in college, and the interest is paid while the student is in college. It's paid by the federal government. Whereas the direct unsubsidized loan, it's made for it's for most eligible undergraduates, graduates, and professional students. They're not necessarily, but not eligible, they're not based on financial need. The interest becomes accruing and it's being assessed from the origination of the loan. That is basically the difference between the two loans. And I'm going to talk about the interest rate for the direct subsidized loans, for the direct plus loans. Right now, at the moment, for the direct subsidized loans and direct unsubsidized loans for undergraduates, it's 4.99, the fixed interest rate. For the direct unsubsidized loan for graduate and professionals, it's 6.54%. For the direct plus loans for the parent and the graduates and professional students, it's 7.54%.
Tina, what is a plus loan? Can you explain that one a little bit more?
Sure, of course. A parent plus loan, it's when a student it's not able to apply for the loan. The parent becomes a borrower. The parent applies for the loan, and therefore the parent um, it's helping the student to obtain that loan. And when it comes to a parent plus loan, the interest rate, it is going to be a little higher. And the parent, there will be a credit check. In this case, the parent has to be approved for the loan. And it's just another source, another mean of financial source, another way to go about obtaining financial assistance.
Is that kind of like a cosign, so to speak?
Yes,
Same principle kind of idea?
yes.
So also just the word direct loans, what those mean is they are directly from the Department of Education. So all of the student lending that Central Texas College participates in are loans that come directly from the Department of Education, and you qualify for those loans based off the FAFSA application.
Mhm. Yes. Now there are some forms that have to be filled out. As I mentioned, the master promissory note is an important document that has to be submitted. The entrance counseling, and in some cases, there are other forms that are also involved. The loan acknowledgement and physician certification, the loan adjustment form, discharges, default letters from the Department of Education, and like I mentioned, the entrance counseling. There is also another form that it's the exit counseling. The exit counseling form is completed when a student withdraws from a class that did not complete the classes during the semester and did not meet the SAP standards. And if the student drops, also if the student drops below halftime, it's placed within a 6-month grace period in which he needs to start making payments on the loan. And once, if somebody does, does not complete the counseling form, they will be placed on hold, which this means that there's going to be there has to be a hold until the requirements are met. And once the requirements are met, then there will no longer be a hold.
And what the hold does, just to clarify a little bit, the exit counseling hold will prevent a student from obtaining transcripts and or registering for any additional classes. So you want to make sure if we send you an email that says you must complete this exit counseling, that you do so as quickly as possible. And then we as the institution do get a notification from Department of Ed when you've done that, and we will go in and clear that loan exit hold.
Thank you. And I basically cover loans. I cover cover the FAFSA, but I really wanted to emphasize a little more the importance of the FAFSA, the work study, the grants. Right now,
Can I
Yes.
just something? How much, I know that we just discussed loans and stuff like that, but how much would you say you recommend that our students actually take advantage of the loans? Is that
No,
something?
I don't want anybody to get a loan at CTC. Nobody. But that's not the reality.
Right. So we want you to be
Really-
conscious that that's an option. We need to make sure that you guys are aware of it, but that's not the
Absolutely.
recommendation ever.
Yeah, we try
Yes.
very hard not to push loans. Not that we don't love Tina, our loan officer, and want her to stay busy, but we'll keep her busy in other ways if we have to. But our goal at CTC is for you to get out of CTC as debt-free as possible. So seriously, do not take out a student loan unless you absolutely need to. And then also realize, just because you're offered maybe $9,500 and you only need 2,000, that's where Tina will help you with that loan adjustment form, so that you don't even have to borrow the full amount. Just borrow what you need just to get by.
Because if you borrow that full 9,500 and you only need that 2,000, you're going to have to pay that 9,500 back anyway. So,
That's right.
and pay that back with interest. So,
Spent before you're ready to pay it back, so it's not sitting somewhere.
Right.
It's a good way to establish credit if you're a young person and trying to start out and you want to maybe get a loan for $2,000 to help you through school. Well, then make some payments on that loan while you're in school is another good option. That you can actually start sending them a payment even though you don't have to yet. And by the time you graduate, you've paid off a loan. You've established credit. So it can be a useful resource for students, but I really caution any student at CTC from getting student loans if you don't need them, because if you're going for a bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and beyond, I promise you're going to need student loans just to help you pay for the cost.
Yes, thank you, Pearl, and thank you everyone for your for your um, for your questions. I do. That's why when I started my presentation, I started with the FAFSA. I want everyone to understand that, we want everybody to be able to apply first for the FAFSA, and if they do not qualify, then there's other sources out there and grants that are available, but it is very important to really the first step is the FAFSA, and based upon that, then you can determine what is it if you want to consider scholarships, work study program, if you want to consider any other type of financial aid that's available for you. I have moving along, I have as I mentioned, work study. We do offer that, and it's a great way to be able to gain experience while you're in school. The work study program, it's basically filling out an application. It provides part-time employment. You can be on campus, off campus, and some of the eligibility determined by the expected family contribution, the cost of attendance. It's important that you apply early when you apply, when you apply, and also it depends on the school funding level. But as I said, that's another source of income. The work study, not only do you get to go to school, you also are able to make a little bit of income and gain experience. So that's also another great opportunity that it's being offered.
Tina, one thing I'd like to add on the work study is also it can give you some real life work experience, possibly in the field you're interested in going into.
Yes.
So, if you want to be a nurse, for example, the nursing department needs work studies. What a better way to get an inside look of what it is you're trying to do. So, we also will cater your work schedule to your school schedule as it changes each semester. That's probably the number one benefit of having a part-time job as a work study. Most other institutions, organizations won't be able to change your work hours. They want you there at a certain time no matter what else is going on. But with the work study program, you can actually, we as departments go through and cater, change, update your schedule to make sure that you're able to go to classes and still get your 20 hours. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, and yeah, Pearl, I agree. We're here to help the students. We want to give them all the options and provide them everything that's available as far as financial aid assistance, and we are really here for them. Um, Also, going back to some of the requirements on my slides, I have. I'm going to touch a little bit based on Title IV and some of the requirements. For Title IV, they have specific requirements. Courses must be required in their degree plan. A lot of students that come and they have not selected a degree of study, a program, I said, I advise them, please contact academic advising. Um, make sure you, excuse me, make sure you have your degree plan. Otherwise, that could, that's one of the requirements we do have to have in order to provide the FAFSA, in order to provide the loans. And I just wanted to emphasize that to the students. The other thing regarding Title IV is that courses must begin and end within the term. That's another thing that they have to keep in mind.
Can you expand
Also,
upon
I'm
that
going to
just a
go
little bit?
over some of the requirements regarding the loans. Again, students must be enrolled for a minimum of 6 credit hour courses in order to have the loan released. And same for the FAFSA. Those requirements, the make sure they have that degree, the degree plan, they selected a degree major, make sure that they have the 6 credit hour courses. That is very important to meet those two requirements.
You have a question coming up, Tina, just put in the
Yes.
chat. The begin and end in the term. Can you kind of explain that just a little bit, what that exactly means?
Yes. I'll try to explain it the best way I can. For instance, if a class begins in the fall and another class begins this, let's say in August, and another class begin in September, right now our system will indicate that the student has only 3 credit hour courses, even though they're registered for 2 classes. Our system, indicates that the class, since they're not starting at the same time, we cannot consider that as 6 credit hour courses. We only view it as 3 credit hour courses because they're not starting at the same time.
One other thing that I think we're really emphasizing is within the term is a defined date range. And Central Texas College offers classes that start and end at all different times. When you're receiving Title IV financial aid, your classes, for example, have to start on or after August 15th, and they have to end by December 31st. So where a lot of students will get in trouble with this is they'll find a class that they really want to take and it doesn't start until November, which is fine. That's within that date range. However, it doesn't end until February. We won't pay for it. It is not within the term. So spring is January 1 until 5/14. Everything has to fit within those date ranges. And then summer is 5/15 to August 13th. So we post that information on the financial aid webpage, and usually anybody you email from financial aid will have those dates posted on our emails as well. But that information is very important. They not only have to be required, as Tina said, on your degree plan, but they have to fit within our date range. And where it gets confusing is a student is still signing up for a fall class. So as far as the student's concerned, it's in the fall term. However, it's the end date that's important on all of that. So make sure you know, and we do put that on your award notice as well as your date ranges. So you want to pay attention to those classes and make sure you register for the ones that fit within those date ranges for financial aid.
Thank you, Pearl. As I mentioned, there's other assistance, financial aid available, state and also institutional aid. There's loan opportunities from state or from the schools. It can vary from, it can vary per each student. It can vary from each school. Each school they're different. And then, it's very important to check the deadlines as far as what the schools offer. They do have a deadline. They have their own requirements, and the information is out there. The resources out there. Students, please do your research. Please do spend some time looking for financial aid available. Complete your FAFSA. I think that, if I can just, motivate the students that, the FAFSA, it's a process, but it's completely worth it. You will be able to know whether, you're able to get funds from that pre-application from student aid. So it's really important to do the first step of completing the FAFSA. And some scholarships that are available, they might come from the community. They might, some are competitive. You might have to do an essay. You might not have to do an essay. It just depends on the requirements of the scholarship. But there's money out there. All you got to do is, fill out the application, do the process, and find the resources that are available in the community. Did anybody wanted to add anything else?
I think for financial literacy, since that's our topic overall, what we want you as a student to do is have a clear plan of where you go from here. What do you want to do? How are you going to get there? And how are you going to pay for it? What you don't want to do is have a whole lot of applications out there for scholarships that most institutions have, and you never even bother to apply for one. There's a lot of information that we get from students at this end, and they say, well, nobody told me. I didn't know. Well, in college versus coming from high school, we don't have a lot of people that have any idea. They're not going to see you every day like your high school teacher might. They're not going to come and contact you at all if you're in online classes. So unless you are willing to ask the questions you need, we're not going to tell you, because we honestly don't know what questions are inside your head that you need answers to. So if you don't know where to begin, if you want to talk about how to balance your checkbook, if you want to talk about financial literacy, how am I going to pay for classes? You need to come start with the financial aid office. Let us get you some help, point you in the right direction, find out sources, opportunities. Did you know you can go to your bank and they'll sit down with you and help you understand how to balance a checkbook? Did you know that if you charge a whole bunch of stuff and then you make a minimum payment on your credit cards, that you'll never pay that credit card off, because your institution just keeps adding more fees every time you pay that little baby payment that they say is required? You're never going to pay that debt off. You're going to continue to mount student debt. You're going to have financial debt. You're going to have loan debt. And you need to take charge of that as a young individual, whether you're coming to CTC in the middle of your life and you just kind of never really had a plan and you want help and you want to talk about it. Reach out to the resources that we have. We have awesome resources at a college. And if we can't help you, we can get you the information to the people that can. And just being willing to speak up and say, how do I get out of this mess? I'm in financial debt already, and I'm 24 years old, and I don't even know where to go from here. then you need to reach out to organizations such as banks or lending institutions that can help you consolidate debt or help you find better ways to manage your debt. But we in financial aid have a number one goal for you to leave CTC as debt free as possible from your cost of education. As you move forward, you're going to find out private lenders are going to offer you loans like you wouldn't believe. And it's so tempting. I see high school students borrowing the max amount because they can. Nobody's ever given them $10,000 or $9,000 before and said, hey, you can just have this because you're going to school. But what you don't realize is it's a debt. You have to pay it back, and you pay it back with interest. So, my mama always told me, if you're going to use that credit card, you better make sure you can pay it off at the end of the month. Probably some of the best advice I ever got. There's nothing wrong with charging something. You might even get bonus points because you spent so much, but you want to make sure you have a plan to pay that off each month. Don't just pay the minimum. But making sure as an individual that you have a plan, you have resources available. What if you lose your job? How are you going to support yourself? You've got to have a backup plan. So to me, financial literacy is not just about college or college loans or college debt. It's about life expenses and how you plan to move forward. So we shared that one cost calculator that helps you figure out what it's going to cost you to live. And I don't think most people that come out of high school have any idea what it costs to live in an apartment on your own and pay your own way. So being able to use that calculator will help you understand. You can go in, calculate what it's going to look like, what's average. I mean, this thing even tells you how much, if do you want high-end clothes or do you want low-end clothes? Are you going to go to the dollar store and buy your wardrobe, or are you going to go to Dillard's and buy everything? So it kind of helps you understand costs and real cost and get started so that you have the groundwork of what you need to move forward. What kind of job do you need? What kind of pay do you want? And what is going to be the pay for that job in the industry? So as a overall literacy to me is understanding your financial situation, what it's going to need to support yourself, and how are you going to get there from here.
Yes. Thank you, Pearl. And it's the ultimate objective is obtaining a higher education, your degree. And in order to do that, we're trying to educate everyone about what's available for them, and making comparison, giving out, this website, this studentaid.gov resources we're giving out, check out this link, that link. And that is mainly to help students see that there is available funding out there for students, and they, just requires research, requires time, and requires, a little bit on their part. Not only students, but I guess everyone in general could do this. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to just give you as much information as I can, help you as much as I can. And like I said, I just wanted to emphasize the importance of the FAFSA, completing it, renewing it, submitting it every academic year. You got to renew it and submit it every year. And and when it comes to the FAFSA, you can list up to 10 colleges on each FAFSA submission. Just remember that, there is a deadline, and if you wait longer, the process could be, a little more, a longer process. Whereas if you submit it on time, it might not take so much. And I wanted to also talk about if the FAFSA does require any additional information, verifications, or documents that are needed, the sooner that you submit the information to the FAFSA, the sooner you will get, a response from them. A lot of students come to my office and they said, I submitted the FAFSA, and I never got a response. And I said, please check your Eagle self-service, please check your email, see if there's anything that's missing. If did you submitted everything they required? Maybe that's why you haven't received a response. And sure enough, they do a little, they go into their account information and they say, okay, I have to submit this. Well, as soon as they submit the information, they're going to get a response. So it's very important to follow up, to complete the entire process. And it's really worth it to complete everything. And then you will know whether you qualify or not. I'm going to go over now. Again, the FAFSA, even if you think you're not eligible, still apply for it. Colleges, they'll send you an email, they'll follow up with you with either any type of response. Please provide, like I said, all the requested information. And, again, consider grants, financial aid, FAFSA, consider that first before you consider the loans. I also wanted to mention something that I haven't talked about. Be careful with scams. Sometimes, if there's fees, if there's a place where they're asking you for your personal information, be very careful with that. A lot of sources are not, a lot of websites, a lot of sites might not be might not be the correct sites, or they might try to take your information. So just be very careful with scams. And make sure that they are they're the right website, the right link, like studentaid.gov. It's a secure site, so just make sure you're in the secure sites. I apologize. Never give up. Continue the process. Continue your dreams. Don't be afraid to ask any questions. This is it's for you. We are here for you. And some of the trusted, yes, you had a question?
No, my light went out.
Oh, you okay? Some of the trusted resources, if you go to ctc.edu, financial aid, we will give you all the information, what I talked about, the interest rate, the loans, the FAFSA, the process, the steps, the grants, financial aid, calculators, everything is in our page, Central Texas website. And, just click on financial aid and you'll be able to see all the information on there. The other, trusted resources, studentaid.gov, as I mentioned before. Another trusted source is www.txcte.org. That is txcte.org. It's another great website where you can check out the Texas Gear Up program that will give you information also regarding the resources that you have available.
Okay, one question that came through, what is the Gear Up program?
The Gear Up program provides like 6 or 7 years of undergraduate partnerships trying to get high poverty and high schools ready. So it's kind of a high school program for the most part, but they help with applicants to get grants to help fund education and making students and parents aware very early in high school level instead of just college. But their website is a great source of information.
Right.
Yes, I've completed my slides. I don't know whether somebody else has additional questions or if there's anything that I need to clarify, I'll be happy to do so.
Contact financial aid if you have questions. That's what we're here for. Tina's awesome in working individually with students. We are all here to help you all with any questions you have. And like I've said, if you don't know the answer to your question and you haven't asked, we don't know what the answer is to give you. So please, please, please ask questions. And nobody told me doesn't fly with me. Okay, guys, just keep that in mind. Nobody told me, well, then you didn't ask. Okay. So I have an answer for that, but I know it's kind of a harsh reality when you're used to going through high school and everybody tells you where to go next or what to do next and how to do it next. That doesn't happen once you go to college. We have an expectation that you're an individual adult now. You're going to get information that you need because you've asked the right questions, you've done the right things. And if you haven't asked, then we don't know what to tell you. And I will agree, we haven't told you, but we put so much information out there. You just have to look for it and ask questions. But I wish you financial success throughout your life. I hope you will start early, early, early in taking control of your assets. And your assets are everything that you've worked hard to pay for. That's what you own. That's what you have, and you want to protect that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys. I don't have any questions specifically coming through right now. I do see some people watching, so if you do have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat. Or if you have any comments that you might have. My comments are usually somewhere along the lines of, we love financial aid. It really helps us a lot, make sure that we have our education. They work really, really hard to be able to offer funds and ways of paying for classes to our students. So thank you very much to our financial aid department for always putting so much effort and making sure that that happens. In the meantime, since I don't see any comments or anything coming through, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching and participating. We will be having this be recorded. If you are watching and maybe you missed some of this recording will probably by the end of today, if not by tomorrow, be on the CTC YouTube page. And you can access it, or if you saw something that you needed more clarification or you wanted to show to somebody and you thought this is something that maybe I have somebody that really should listen to this and watch it, you are welcome to go ahead and share it with the world. Honestly, the information that you heard today, even though we make it CTC centric, can apply to basically any college anybody who's interested in going to college. So even if they're not a CTC student or wanting to become a CTC student, but they need to understand financial aid, this is a really great way to get some basic knowledge and at least learn what questions and what topics they need to focus on and ask more questions about. Sometimes I know that for me, when I talk to individuals, they don't even know where to begin. So this is a really great opportunity to share with somebody maybe that is thinking about going to college in the future and don't even know where to begin, what to do about financial aid, what options are out there. Start with this video, share it with that person, and then if they have more questions, even if, again, if it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to come to CTC, we can probably help figure out, okay, well, this is who you need to talk to, or these are some of the generic answers that you need, and hopefully we can get you guided in the right direction.
Yeah, and one other thing that, like Pearl noted on this, is financial literacy at its core, not just as Mariceli said, CTC centric, but some of the tips that Pearl and Tina shared are applicable to real life situations as far as like loans go and getting those credit cards and these businesses throwing credit cards at young people saying you can get this much on your credit card and blah, blah, blah. But you got to remember you have to pay those back and you will incur debt. So this applies to whether you're going out shopping for a car, going out doing whatever, as opposed to paying for your tuition. So keep that in mind as you get all these offers that come your way to avoid that debt.
Yes, definitely. So with that, I want to say to everyone that's watching, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Later on today, we are going to be having another career cluster session. This is going to be construction, manufacturing, and transportation, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. And that involves
So-
our industrial tech programs such as welding and diesel mechanic, also involves aviation, also involves computer aided drafting and design.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're interested or you have questions about any of these topics, this is a great opportunity. Please join us later today. I think it's at, is it at 3?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. You're welcome to join us.
Make sure you ask questions at that one too, because they'll tell you how much they make an hour or how much they make a year. And then you'll know how much you could earn by just getting a certificate, perhaps. That's an awesome opportunity.
There you go. See how it all ties back to finances.
I tie everything back to money.
That's good. No, it's a great resource. We'll talk about career opportunities, salaries, the degree program, certificate programs, and step-by-step mapping of those different programs. So you'll know exactly what classes to take, what you need, and then again, you can start plotting and planning your budget to pay for those degree certificate programs.
Yes. So thank you very much. We hope to see you later on today. And as we continuously throughout the school year, we are always trying to go live and giving you more information on different topics that may be relevant to you as either a student or a potential student. Things that have to do with CTC, not just CTC. Like I said, it could be something like this that actually can help you with your life. So please stay tuned to all the things that we have available to you. We are currently doing part of the Welcome Week events. If you are in Texas and want to participate in our events, you're welcome to go to ctcd.edu/welcome-weeks, and you can see some of the events that we're going to be having. We do also have some virtual events going on as well that you can check out if you're not in Texas. But the big kicker at the end is going to be the Welcome Bash. That is going to be on this next Thursday, September 1st. And it's going to be in the Anderson Campus Center. If you're in Texas, anywhere nearby, and you are a student, please come. We'll have a lot of resources available to you. We'll have some prizes that we're going to be giving out to participants. And we have music, a lot of positive, great things going on. So please, please, please come out and check us out. We look forward to that. And then last but not least, we'll see you around virtually. So have a great day and talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.